hey there. So we're here in the Karnak temples. Now let me explain what that means. Here in Egypt, they have a lot of sun god worshippers. So Ra, or Amun-Ra, is the name of the sun god. And over time, everybody was like, I want to build a temple. And they're like, me too. And then somebody else like, yeah, me too, and me too. And it turned into this huge complex. It's 64 acres of temples. So kind of interesting. Here's what I noticed. Now, I guess I haven't really talked about this a lot, but people keep asking me. And obviously, this is where the Jews were for 400 years. And Moses came out of here. This is when all the Jews were delivered, was out of here from the Pharaoh. And so there's a lot of religion. Now, we heard something interesting this morning. You guys are familiar with the Passover, and the Passover is when there's the 10 plagues of Egypt, right? Moses said, hey, let my people go, and then the Pharaoh's like, no, I don't want to, I like my slaves. And they kept on and on and on, and then finally the last plague was, your firstborn son will die. The firstborn of everything, all the people, all the animals, everything, firstborn son was going to die. Unless you killed a lamb and then took its blood and sprinkled it over the door. And when you did that, then, and there's some ritual among that, then the angel of death would see that there was the lamb's blood over your door, and not because of anything you did, but the lamb or the angel of death would pass over your house and would not kill your firstborn son. And so obviously that is, and then everybody in Egypt, all their firstborn sons died, all their animals died, except for all the Jews and all the people of faith that put the lamb's blood over their doorposts, and then their firstborn son was spared because the angel of death passed over that house. Now, that's a foreshadowing for later on when Jesus was the Lamb of God, and whenever we accept his sacrifice, whenever we put his blood on us, spiritually, if you will, then the angel of death will pass over us, and we'll be able to pass over into life from death. So I think that's very interesting. I also think it's very interesting that everybody here is very, very consumed with the afterlife, very consumed with religion, with pleasing God, or the gods in this case. And I think it's in the heart of all people to, like, there's more, there's something more, and we feel it. Like, we feel it inside our heart. We're just like, I know there's something else, but what is it? And everybody tries to explain it. And what I've noticed here is that there's a lot of pride. Like, look, I did all these things, and I did these things, and I made these monuments, and I did this for you, God, and I did this for you, God. You should bow to me, and I'm a big deal. But the God of the Bible and Jesus came humbly down. He came and was born in a manger. He came like the King of Kings, the creator of the universe, came down and suffered and died for us. And it's a drastic contrast between that and look at how tough I am and look at how big I am. So I just think that's interesting. Anyway, that's it for right now. Oh, hey there. So this is an obelisk. Can you see this? This is a very tall obelisk. Now, obviously, you're probably thinking, why is there an obelisk? And a lot of people have said this, and I'm like, that's not accurate. They thought that there was aliens here, and that the aliens were also giants. And so whenever the aliens would come and land, they would land very heavily, and they wanted them to land with their, this would spike them as they landed, because they're so big, they'd be like, ouch, and then they would leave, right? That's not true. It's not true. They copied this from the Washington Monument in America. This was 3,500 years ago, and they copied that from the Washington Monument, and that's where the origin of the obelisk came from. So now you guys know.
Oh, hey there. Good morning from Egypt, or as you guys in Texas say, good night, because it's nighttime over there. In case you guys don't know, I'm 7 hours ahead of you, which means that I'm living in the future. So I've got great advice for you from the future. So first of all, don't be the guy that lives his whole life waiting for his life to start. That's not smart. Now, you might look at me and think, John, why are you so happy all the time? Well, let me tell you just one of the reasons why. Whenever I get on an airplane, I don't waste a whole lot of time thinking, like, I wonder if the pilot's going to go left. Is he taking is he banking to the west or something? I don't care. I get on the flight, I'm like, I don't give it a second thought. I assume we're going to land wherever I paid for the ticket. Same thing on this boat. I don't go, oh, are you going the right way? Have you thought out your course and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, captain probably got it. It's fine. And so if we can do that in mundane things in life, like, trusting that the driver's going to get us there, why can't we do that in life whenever we're like, you know what, I think God's got this. I don't have to be in control of everything. I can just like relax my brain and look around and enjoy what's right in front of me. You know, you look at animals, you're like, they're happy. They just like live their life. They just look right in front of them and they go, oh, that's beautiful. And then they are okay with that. Why can't we do that? I mean, I do. I got a pretty empty head, so I love my life. It's pretty amazing. Everywhere I go, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's fun. Try to live like that. You'd probably be happier. Isn't that a gorgeous sunrise? I think so. Oh, hey there. So I'm here in Edfu, which is in Egypt, and we're on the Nile River. So you can see that there's the Nile River, and I just wanted to talk to you guys about the architecture here. So if you can see behind me, you can see they've got these things sticking up that have rebar sticking out of them, pretty much on most of the buildings. Let's see, well, you can see it right here. So see these things that are sticking up, and they've got rebar sticking out of them. And then most of these buildings are unfinished, right? So we noticed that from the get-go. We were just like, wow, I guess that's kind of how the architecture is. They've got usually like an unfinished wall, or stuff broken out, or just no windows, or like no roof, or these pylons sticking up with rebar sticking out of them, or whatever. Literally every building. So we asked, you know why they do that? Because there's some dumb rule with the government that if your building is not finished, then you don't have to pay property tax on it. At which point, nobody finishes their building. They all leave them unfinished everywhere. And I'm like, what a dumb loophole. You've incentivized people to have ugly looking buildings that are unfinished everywhere in your country, instead of just making a more normal rule. So once again, thank you, government, not just American government, but governments across the world, for making dumb rules that make people have dumb stuff, like unfinished, ugly buildings everywhere. Not that all the buildings are ugly, but that is very, very common. So I'm not going to try to point it out all the time, because I'm not trying to look at the negative things, but I just thought it was interesting. The other reason is that, you know, maybe one day they'll expand, but I'm like, you can expand and still have a finished building. I do it all the time. All right, love you guys. Welcome to another episode of Things I Find Amusing. Okay, first of all, we are at the top of a cruise ship. You cannot get on this cruise ship unless, obviously, you paid to be on there. But this says, only hotel guests are permitted on pool premises. I don't know how anybody else would possibly get up here. Whatever. Moving on. No rough play. That dude, he looks like he just got hurt real bad. That's pretty rough. All right, what else I got? Don't food inside the pool. I'll keep that in mind.
Oh, hey there. This is inside the small pyramid. Ooh, that's way down deep. Oh, hey there. So we're here at the Edfu Temple in Edfu, which is in Egypt, in case you didn't know that. Don't feel bad. I didn't know that either. This is one of the corridors. It's huge. It's very big. Here, it's a pan over here. Look at this. Amazing. It goes on and on forever. This is probably about 48 square miles. That could be an exaggeration. So about 6 or 17 times a day, people ask me, John, how do you read hieroglyphics? Well, I'm glad you asked. So they can go left to right or right to left. And how do you know which way to go? And they can go up to down or down to up. How do you know which way to go? Whichever way they're facing, see they're all facing this way, then you start here and you go left to right. If they're facing the other direction, then you go right to left, and so on and so forth, up to down and down to up. But there's symbols in there. If you understand, then congratulations, now you know something. And there's like so much symbolism in here. I don't understand even a fraction of it, but there's so much stuff in life I don't understand. For example, you know how you throw the ball at the end of a game, like, haha, we won, and you throw it out into the crowd? You can't do that in bowling. I know that now. No, we're done. Oh, hey there. So we're outside the high school here at Edfu Temple. Now, let me explain what's going on here. This high school has about 7 kids that go here. They're very rich. Everybody else, all the peasants stay at a little place. There's a little straw shack that they stay at. But as a senior prank, they decided they were going to graffiti all over this high school. Look at this stuff. They got the mascot from KFC up here. They got all kind of, like all their classmates and stuff like that. And this is the principal over here. You can see him, he's mad. He actually killed him. So that's why there's no descendants, is because he was very upset about this. He's like, this is an expensive school. We know that you're rich, but this is ridiculous. And so, no history. Okay there. So I'm here on the River Nile, and we are on our way to go see some crocodile mummies. I don't know what that means, but I want to explain to you guys something that happens here. It's not just here, it's everywhere there's a tourist area. There's vendors, and they are very aggressive. So we're told constantly, don't even look at them, don't make eye contact. They're going to scam you. They're going to try to pretend like they're giving you something. They're going to lie to you, and it's exhausting. Okay, so I assume that all the vendors that are going to harass me today are probably watching these videos, and so I just want to preemptively say, look, if you don't come aggressively at me, I'll probably look in there. There's a real low likelihood I'm going to buy anything, but I might. There'd be a chance I might buy something if you were just, I don't know, like a decent person, like, oh, you like that? It's pretty cool, huh? How much is it? It's $5. I'm like, I can afford $5. But if you're like, oh, my friend, I'm like, you give me a headache. I don't want to be rude to people. So if you're a vendor that's going to be seeing me today, don't be aggressive. Just chill. I might buy something. Probably not, though. Oh, hey there. So this is Erin, and Erin is a genius, okay? Now, I'm in Egypt. I really appreciated everybody watching and following along and giving comments and whatever. And I know that you guys have all been like, thank you, John, for sharing your experience. But really the person we need to thank is Erin, because you work at Creation Ministries, and this is, you guys organized this whole tour.
We did.
And you did all the work so that I could just walk in like a stupid American and enjoy all this wonderful stuff. And so tell us about your ministry and tell us about this tour and stuff.
So this is the first time we've done the tour for Creation Ministries International. So our website's creation.com, and what we do is we deal with biblical history. So starting all the way back in Genesis, from the first verse. So how were we created? Why were we created? Who's our creator? And where are we going when we die? So all that goes back to basically the creation evolution debate. So we deal a lot with that. Real history, real science, repeatable, testable science, not historical science that has to be interpreted many different ways. But also from a historical, biblical perspective, Egypt is, when you read the book of Genesis,
it's a
where it all
wealth
starts.
of knowledge and information, and you see it in real life, and to go, this is where Joseph and Mary came with Jesus whenever they were fleeing. This is where Moses was like, let my people go, and took Pharaoh and left. This is the river Nile that turned to blood.
Yeah.
Like, how amazing is that, right?
It makes the Bible come alive, which is really cool. When we go and we look at some of these pharaohs, you're going to be standing in front of possibly the Pharaoh of the Exodus, where Moses stood before the Pharaoh and challenged that Pharaoh to let his people go, but he refused. And we know what happened after that.
Well, a lot of us do. Some of us don't.
Yeah.
But
well, that's why we bring people here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I learned I just can't tell you how much fun I've had, how much I've learned. The people have been amazing. You guys have been amazing.
You've been amazing.
Well, thank you. The scenery is gorgeous. Like, there's so much history. Like, I just look at it and I go, man, I wish I'd have done this sooner, but I'm so glad I'm here now. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And thank you for your ministry and the fact that you guys do so much to help people. I'm a dumb person, right? Like, it's undeniable. Everybody looks at me like that guy's dumb, and they're right. But you guys are very smart, and you take all the time to like research things. And
it takes a lot of time.
It does, and I have a massive amount of respect for you guys to do that. And I can tell that you go to great lengths to exhaustively prove that, look, this stuff is right. And if you're wrong, I hear you say, hey, we were wrong about this, and we adjust.
Yeah, and this is something new, really. There aren't a lot of ministries that are doing a biblical tour of Egypt. A lot of people just sign you up. You go with the secular tour company,
right.
You hear the secular dates. Our guys really have kind of boiled down the timelines and revised things to really come at it from a biblical.
Easy for you to say. Biblical, yeah.
Yeah.
So also on the tour, we do all these amazing things, right? And all the stuff I'm taking pictures of in videos. But also at night, I don't show it, but there's presentations, and they say this is where the history came from, and this is exactly in the timeline how it happened and why we proved it and what we're cross-referencing, and they go to great lengths, and I'm just, the whole time I'm like this, tell me more. And I'm writing it down, and I remember maybe 1%, maybe. But at the end of it, I'm just like this. I learned so much.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And again, it just makes everything come alive. So yeah.
Well, I thank you. This whole experience has been amazing, life-changing, and so thank you for that. And then if people wanted to get on another tour, then how do they do that?
So again, this is the first time we've done this. We're doing 3 back-to-back tours. We'll be here for 40 days. biblical reference.
I saw that.
But we will be running another set of tours in 2 years' time. It logistically takes us a while to pull everything together.
It's a lot to put together.
So this is 2022. Be on the lookout in 2024. How you can see that and be cued into that is go to creation.com, sign up for our email newsletter called InfoBites, and we'll let you know when we're coming back to Egypt.
Quick subtext on that is that the info bites are very, very interesting, right?
They
So
are.
I get the emails, and then there's topics. I'm like, oh, I'd like to know what aliens built the pyramids, and then there's, right, or whatever it may be, and then you click on it, and there's just everything you'd want to know. There's highlights if you can only read bold print, but then, you know, if you want to dig down deep, then you're like, wow,
Yep.
I learned a lot.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
thank you guys
Anything
for what you do.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Yeah, thank you, for real. Oh, hey there. I'm over here on the Nile River in Egypt, and a lot of people are asking me, why did they mummify crocodiles? And I'm like, you guys don't know? That's okay, I didn't know either. Like 2 hours ago, I had no idea. So here's what happened. The Egyptians noticed that whenever the Nile was about to flood, then the crocodiles would take their eggs and move them farther away from the river. And then they noticed like 3 days later that the river would flood, and so they thought that they were like the god of fertility or something like that, and so then they made this crocodile temple, and so then they had crocodiles down in this well. I don't know if you guys saw the video of the bats coming out of the well, but they would have the crocodiles down in the well, and then they would kind of like worship them or whatever, and that was where that came from. Also, there was a meter on how high the water was in the well, because that's how high the Nile River was, at which point that was how much of a tax that they had to pay. So that was interesting. And then whenever the crocodiles in the well would die, then all of a sudden they would be like, we got to mummify them and take them to the next life too. And so that's why there are
That's never gonna happen.
that's why there are the mummified crocodiles. So I hope that answers your question. Love you guys. Bye. Oh, hey there. I'm out here in the middle of the Sahara Desert. We're on our way to yet another temple. It's going to be super exciting and amazing. But this reminds me. So sometimes you end up in a desert in your life, and you look around, and you're like, there's no life. I don't like this so much. There's, as far as the eye can see, we're literally going, I think, 300 kilometers today through almost all desert just to get to the next place we're going. So the Israelites, when they left Egypt, they went to Israel, right? Before they were Israelites. And you could have walked from Egypt to Israel in about a week and a half. But they wandered around in the desert for 40 years because they were disobedient to God, because they refused to just obey him. He said, do this stuff, and they wouldn't. And so because of that, they wandered around the desert for 40 years until they finally obeyed. And I'm like, do you feel like maybe in your life you are just wandering around in the desert? Like things aren't going so good for you? Like you keep repeating the same stupid patterns and doing the same stupid things again and again and again? Maybe learn your lesson and go to the promised land. Okay, I'm just saying. Isn't this beautiful though? Oh, hey there. So, I'm here at the exact location where they took the picture for the Iron Maiden album Powerslave. And this is the Egyptian Mount Rushmore. So this right here is where Joe Biden has fallen to the ground. Some of those facts may not actually be facts. I exaggerate about 500% of the time. But I do want to tell you a completely unrelated story. Okay. The Queen of England was going to come and visit a place in an amount of time, and they started calling different venues and hotels, and I said, hey, the Queen of England is coming to your town. Why should we let her stay at your place? And somebody was like, we'll put all new carpet in and new drapes for her, and we'll, put in a pool table and I don't know, a badminton or whatever she likes to play. And they're like, okay. And they called another place, and they gave a bunch of reasons why the Queen should stay there. We would do this for her, and we'd remodel and add a wing to the thing, and give her own suite. And you're like, oh, well, that's nice. And then they called another place. They said, oh, and we'll do these wonderful things, and we'll put a new roof on for her. That way she's protected from the rain. And they called another place, and they said, why should the Queen stay at your place? What are you going to do when the Queen comes to visit? And they said, we are always ready for the Queen. Tell her to come. Now that's a bit prideful, but guess what? The Queen stayed there. And I just wonder, I think that a lot of times we look at life and we think, When God's gonna come, I'll make some changes in my life. When God's gonna come, I will stop doing bad things. I'll start doing good things. Maybe I'll get my weight right, and maybe I'll stop doing drugs, and I'll be nice to people. Here's the thing. You're not gonna know. Because if you're waiting till the 11th hour to get your life right with God, you're gonna die at 10:30. That's what's gonna happen. I'm sorry. You need to get your life right now with God. And when Jesus comes, what he needs to hear is, I found my servant working. You were there and you were always ready for your king. Live your life like that.
All right.
Oh, hey there. So we're here at Abu Simbel, which is a huge temple complex, whatever. Okay, so over here they shot the Iron Maiden cover, Powerslave, and that's pretty amazing. And then over here they did some other cool stuff. This is Nefertari's temple, and it's not Nefertiti, it's Nefertari. She was a queen, and he was like, I love her very much. She's my favorite wife of my 25 wives. Okay, now if you look over this way, what do you see? A huge lake. Okay, this is the second biggest man-made lake in the world. I don't know exactly how many gallons it is, but I'm assuming that it's at least 7 billion or what. I don't know. I'm not good at that kind of thing. All right, so here's what happened. They made a dam over here in 1960, and then they're like, this started getting too close to the water. And they're like, how? What are we gonna do here? And somebody's like, I got it. Well, we'll take a bunch of tax money and we'll move it up the hill, 180 feet and 65 or whatever it is up. And so then they did, and then it didn't flood into the temple, and they could keep charging people like me to come here and make stupid videos. So I know what you're thinking. To get this from over here to over here, how'd they do that? Did they get giants to do it? Incorrect. They got people, and they paid the money, and they cut it up into pieces, and they put it all over there, and they put it back together. It's pretty amazing, really. So what did it take to do that the first time? A bunch of slaves. And I know what you're thinking. Are there different kind of slaves, or just slaves that, like, I don't know, whip your back and make you move rocks and stuff? Well, you can also be a slave to debt. And a lot of people are. And I know what you're thinking. I should probably get out of debt because it's a heavy weight on me. And it's like moving all those rocks over there. And you're like, but you know what's nice? Getting out of debt. And you take that weight off and you're like, I feel better. I feel better in my heart, in my wallet especially. Look, I have money to buy things. It's nice. But you know what else feels even nicer than that? A lot of us, all of us, are slaves to sin. And so we feel the weight of that on us, and we're like, ugh, I don't feel good. And you put on a face like, oh, look how happy I am, I'm great. But inside your heart, you're like, not so great. But wouldn't it be nice? Could you imagine? I just want you to imagine for a moment that one day somebody was like, I'm gonna pay off all of your debt, all your financial debt. And then you could just be like, you owe nobody anything. That would be a huge relief. But then imagine somebody took all that guilt debt, all that debt that you have to sin, and took that off. Can you imagine how nice that is? If you'd like to know more, contact me. Get right with Jesus. Bye-bye. Today, I've decided to start my 40 days of complaining campaign. Every day I want to complain about something for the next 40 days. I don't see how this could possibly have a negative impact on my life. I'm having a hard time trying to find anything to complain about. I mean, there's just so many good things. Tomorrow, I'm going to start my 40 days of complaining campaign. But today I'm going to be grateful because, I don't know, I just don't feel like it right now. There's a lot of good stuff in life. All right, we're going to take a bathroom break here. It's beautiful.
Oh, hey there. So I'm having a great time in Egypt, and I appreciate everybody following along with me. Some of you guys are saying, John, you need to get some rest. And I hear that a lot. And my motto for years has just been, look, man, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Here's what genuinely concerns me. I think that I'm going to finally die, thank God, and I'm like, now I can get some rest, and I'm worn out. And everybody's going to be like, you didn't get the memo? Like, we really tried to warn you. Bro, there's a lot of stuff for you to do. Like, you're going to be busy right off the gate. You really should have got some rest while you're on Earth. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. I don't care.
Oh, hey there. So we're here at, how do you say it? Philae Island. And there's a temple here and over there and over there. It's amazing. Here's the thing. Look over here. The temple used to be over there, but then they moved it because the Nile flooded, because they dammed it up. So now they moved over here. 42,000 pieces they did that. It's pretty amazing. It's more than I can do. I looked about, I don't know, about this much sand. I'm like, ugh, no. I need to get a mani-pedi. I'm over this. I'm like a delicate flower, a very delicate flower. And I probably could not do this. Well, I wasn't made for this kind of work. Very soft hands. I'm sure you can see how soft they are. No, don't like to do any work. Anyway, gorgeous. So this is, in case you guys don't know things, this is Roman or Greek architecture because the top of the columns is all different, and Egyptian columns look different. Now, I just want to tell you guys what an amazing time I've had, and it's been so great. But here's what bothers me, okay? Usually when I go out of the country, I take a lot of pictures of people, and I think that people are beautiful, and I love to capture their essence and just kind of the spirit of the place. But here, if you even look at somebody, they got their hand out asking for money, and I'm like, oh, I just want to take your picture because I think you're beautiful, but I can't. So I'm sorry I don't have a lot of pictures of people, but I got a lot of pictures of things and myself. So see you guys soon. Oh, hey there. So today is my last day in Egypt, and I just want to thank all of you guys for following along because you have made it delightful for me. Something I've been thinking about is that I was given this opportunity to come here, and obviously I wanted to share it with you guys because a lot of people can't afford to or don't have the time or whatever to come over here themselves, and so I wanted to share that with you. But it reminds me now that this is coming to a close that I could have done this by myself, not taken any pictures, not enjoyed it. I could have complained about things, and that's what I could have done with what was given to me. But instead, I chose to look at all the beautiful things and look at all the wonderful things about this trip and this journey and all the people and all the food and all the history, everything about it, right? And I chose to look at that, appreciate that, love it, and share it with you guys. And we are each given one life. And we can choose to complain and to focus on all the bad things about it. We can keep it to ourselves. We can hide it under a bushel. We can, I don't know, do all kinds of bad things. And that life will pass. And we'll look back and be like, I didn't do so good. Or we can choose to embrace it and love it and do the very best that we can with it. We can choose to use our life to glorify God. I think it's like a musical instrument. You can put a musical instrument in front of somebody. Some people won't even touch it. They won't ever learn. They'll be afraid. Some people pick it up and they play stuff and you're like, okay, you're trying. That's good. You keep trying, it's gonna get better. And then some people pick it up and you're like, that is magnificent. That is beautiful. It's the exact same instrument. It's what you do with it. It's what you do with your life. And so I encourage you, don't let your life pass you by. Do something amazing. Be a person that inspires other people. Love you guys. Oh, hey there. So I'm here in modern Egypt. Now look, I've been in ancient Egypt, traveling back through time, but now I'm in modern Egypt, and we're still looking at old times. There's some things I've learned, a lot of things I've learned, but this is one of the most interesting ones. Now, we went down to the Tomb of the Mummies, or the Hall of the Mummies, and we could see them, but we couldn't take any pictures or videos. And so I was like this, how will people know at home? I'm gonna tell you what I learned. This is the most important thing, probably the entire trip. A lot of people don't talk about this, but in ancient Egypt, they believed that there was gonna be an abundance of water slides in the afterlife, and so they buried them like this, so they could slide down the water slides, okay? It's a true story. Don't fact check it, just take my word for it. That's a wrap on mummies.